Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Good evening. I wanted to do more on the dating sites because it seems to be a never-ending question. Some talking good, some talking bad. I tend to think that anybody who quotes percentages, seemingly accurate percentages, saying that 5% of women are this, or 5% or 7.5% of men are that. I wonder how they could possibly arrive at those figures and what access they have to the overall information that's on any dating site. They seem to be people who have simply been customers on that dating site. So how would they have access to any information that states that 30% of all women on a certain site are fake? Now, I mean, I don't dispute this idea just for them. How would I know? How would I know to be able to make a statement saying, no, 50% of all women that are looking for this kind of partner are gold diggers, or are 50% are just wonderful women. I have no access to percentages other than to be able to attribute them to any survey that I've seen, in which case I would give credit to the survey and to whoever did the survey. It wouldn't be Joe and Harry who decided to do their survey, or Mavis on the corner block. It would have to be some kind of survey that had been done through an agency and that their numbers were in some way verifiable. Now, I got a letter after the lonely lady, the lady that had been one of our OFW heroes, and now she felt abandoned by her family, who didn't seem to be very grateful for all that she had done, and this is a very familiar thing. So here we are with a woman who is, let's say, over 40, has served a great deal of time in the service of her family, and now would like to have companionship, but finds in her experience that all men are looking for a 20-year-old sex bomb. I don't think that really is true, because I get so many women who are not 20-year-old sex bombs writing to me. So here's the advice of somebody who calls himself Buzzed for A. Let's call him Buzz. All right, Buzz. This letter made sense to me, so I'm going to read it out. Okay. So it says, and he's obviously addressing the woman directly, the woman who was the lonely one. Try some online sites to find a foreigner. That is how I met my wife, who is not young and fresh, but mature and divorced. Try the OkCupid site. We're not affiliated in any way to the OkCupid site. I found that the more questions you answer, now listen carefully to this, I found that the more questions you answer will help guide you to someone who is more compatible. So it's not enough to go on there and say, all round good guy, and I got a pension, and I'm looking for this. You need to give some information. You need to be answering the unasked questions. That makes sense to me. So he says, to help guide you to someone who's more compatible. I answered over 400 questions, and my wife 3 times that. I'm Canadian and my wife is Filipina. I felt the same way you do, so I understand your concerns. Now this is the lady that, as I said, had been the hero in the family, had worked very hard, I think if I remember right, was still abroad working, and really would like to spend the rest of her life with someone who was compatible to her. So I felt the same way as you do, so I understand your concerns. The websites help sort out the man you want, but it also sorts out the woman he is looking for. So any man who is highly compatible and is contacting you, he is looking for an older woman with life experiences like I was doing when I met my now wife. So here's a man. He doesn't say his age, does he? But he says he's Canadian, and when he went on the site, he answered a ton of questions. Now, I'm not sure what that site was. Well, wait a minute, though. He said it was Cupid, the OK Cupid site, which apparently asks a lot of questions to get a really good computer match-up to those people that you are interested in. I won't say those people, a partner. And if you're interested in someone, and if, for instance, you want somebody that loves classical music, doesn't like rock bands, is very interested in opera and ballet, has had a great education in the arts, then you need to put that in there. You need to try to give as good an overall look at your character as possible. Now, there's no point in thinking, oh well, gosh, no one's going to be interested in me if I say I like the ballet, but that's not true. If you think that there are thousands of people who are getting in touch with these sites and answering questions, then you really need to answer a lot of questions about yourself, and in doing that you will give yourself a better, not just a better one of a better chance of finding the man that you're looking for, but in helping the man you're looking for to find you. So it gets back to a question of honesty, being honest and frank, and actually opening the heart so that you're looking for someone who is looking for you. I know that sounds like an oversimplification, but it is true that this is what is happening. And this is why agencies were created. Somebody somewhere along the line, maybe in the same position that I'm in now, that they were receiving letters, and they keep receiving letters from a lady and another lady and another one and another one and another one. And on the other side, they're receiving letters from a man and then a man and another man and another man and another man. And somehow they must have thought, well, if these guys are interested in these women, maybe I can come in between and put them together. And then he would have the problem of saying, but how will I know who is good for who? Which brings me to when you ask me to find you a partner. I get lots of women who write and say, my niece is 28 years old, has never been married. She's a religious person, believes in God, has a good job, and they give this thing. What would I do with that information? This is what you have to understand. And if you don't get the answer that you want from me, it's because, what can I tell you? But with an agency, they must have sat down and said, how are we going to get this man hooked up with this woman? Now, the obvious answer to that is information. So our writer, Buzz, is correct when he says that he went to an agency that asked him 400 questions. Now, when you think about it, if you're taking a driving test, just a driving test, you have to answer, I think it's 200 questions. Now, if you're going to answer 200 questions answered just to drive, what about navigating your life, navigating yourself through the rest of your life? how many questions would that be worth? And 400, when you put it like that, doesn't sound like a huge number of questions. And then for the woman, apparently, the lady who became his wife answered 3 times that. So we're looking at easily over 1,000 questions that they answered. Well, what do you do about this, and how do you react to that, and what's your favourite music? Tell us 10 top bands that you want. All of those things are going to find a niche there somewhere so that you can connect with someone. Now, on our site, on our channel, A Foreigner in the Philippines, we've had people who have been following our videos, and what they've begun to notice is that, well, Buzz 1234 keeps offering sensible answers, like this Buzz 4, and he has used his own experience. He's given a reference for how he met his wife, and he's given some indication as to what you should expect. And he's also given hope to the majority of the women that write to me and the men that write to me, that not everybody is looking for a sexy woman and a hunky guy. You know, today we met with our subscriber Joe, who we've called Joe from America, and if you watched, you'll see that he met his lady, baby, who is a mature woman, and he met her by chance on Facebook, because he has a Facebook page for his business, and for some reason they connected, and as soon as they connected, something happened. Now this is the thing that gives hope. So when something connects, then I always feel that it's like some kind of divine intervention, that in some indefinable way you have been attracted to meet at that point in time. And why do you think that? Because snap, suddenly you're talking to someone as if you've known them all your life. Now, this is true connection. And as soon as you have that thing where you feel totally comfortable with them, you're not even trying to, well, what are they going to say about this, and how do they like that? And it loses its sense of interrogation, and it becomes a joy of discovery. And the two are hugely different. You know, one where it's an interrogation is that you're trying to catch the other person out. Yes, but what would you do in this situation? It's an interrogation. Whereas if someone is illustrated in what they've said that they love a certain kind of music, and you would then say, well, what do you think of the BBC Symphony Orchestra? I like them, but I like the Boston Sym because they... And then you would be off on a thread, talking computer-wise, you'd be off on a thread where you would find out all of those important information. I always feel that sometimes, what was that example that they used to make where they would say, yeah, would you like to be trapped in an elevator with this person? And, you know, so many times you look at, say, some terrific looking woman or man who is an actor, always speaking with such wisdom, because that may be the kind of part that they're always given. And then when you actually hear them talk with their own words, they sound like Dumbos. So questions right at the beginning, I've always said this, that it's easiest at the beginning to really try to find out what that person is like. What you're trying to do is you're trying to have an enjoyable conversation with that person, texting back and forth. And the one thing that I do notice is that when I learn about someone who connects, that's the one thing that they say. We talked for hours. One, I think it was actually Joe, now I think about it, Joe, who we met today, and he said exactly the same thing as Beth and I said, that they met and they talked through the night, that they talked the whole night. It never stopped. They couldn't get enough of knowing more about that other person. And when that happens, everything is compressed into a very short space of time. Time is not a constant. Time is very much a variable thing, and this has been known so many times. What do they say? Time goes so quickly when you're enjoying yourself. A watched kettle never boils. I was so bored with her that I was just waiting for the time to pass. What's the other one? You've got an hour before you can pick up your car because it's being serviced. So you say, oh my God, I've got an hour to kill. Time is not a constant. Therefore, the amount of time that you know someone is not always the deciding factor as to whether it's a good relationship in potential or not. One lady that spoke to us about this and was on comments said that she had taken several years of talks, and I think it was quite a large number of years before they agreed that they could get married and be together. And yet, I spoke to Joe today, and he found baby, a mature lady like him, and it wasn't one of those that he was looking for someone who was a youngster. He wasn't looking for that. He wanted someone that he could actually talk to, and he found it, and then the love came. I've mentioned before our Australian adventurer Tracy. Tracy was absolutely adamant. If you had listened to the first videos that we made with Tracy, Tracy said, I am single and happily so. And then he decided, just on a whim, divine intervention, I believe, again, something over there attracted him over here, and in some indefinable way they were connected, and they're happy together. And he was absolutely emphatic that this would never happen. His life is set up so that he is single, and yet he is now happily bonded with someone that he believes is the partner that he's always looked for, and she the same. So the advice that our friend Buzz has given is to go onto a site, ask and answer a lot of questions, and those questions should lead you to be connected to someone who at least has the potential of being your forever, as has become very popular to talk about. It used to be, can you help me find my happy ever after? And now apparently it's my forever after. So I wish you well. I hope that you do find. One thing that you cannot do is give up. There's something for certain. If you quit, you'll lose. I mean, it doesn't take any working out, does it? If you say, I'm never going to find my person, then chances are heavily weighted in favor of making sure that you do not find your person. So you have to open the heart, you have to open the mind, and allow that the universe is going to conspire in your favor to bring the one that you can love into your life. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, you can find them. It's amazing how this can happen. I wish you luck. Thank you for being with us. This is a Foreigner in the Philippines. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.